Hi, welcome to the podcast Beyond the Ballot, a Lone Wolf production. This is where we showcase local politics by providing a platform for elected officials and candidates. Today, I'm proud to introduce our guest for today's episode, Kevin Byrnes, who's running for Westchester County Legislator for District 1. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Dia. Really appreciate that.
So as mentioned, you're running for legislator for District 1 of Westchester County. Can you tell us which towns make up District 1?
Sure. It encompasses part of Yorktown, part of Cortland, and all of Peekskill.
So let's start by talking about your personal background. How long have you lived in Westchester, and what do you think makes this area so special?
I've lived in Westchester almost exclusively for about 50 years. We moved up from Brooklyn in 1978. My father was in the fire department, and he was working in Manhattan. He got transferred to the Bronx. So instead of going out east like all the other Brooklynites do, we went up north. Okay. And we moved to Pleasantville. And with a few exceptions, like a short stint in Putnam and a short stint in Queens, I've lived in Westchester that whole time. And I've been living in Yorktown since 2001.
And do you have any children?
4 children.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what do you think makes this area so special?
It's a great place for families. It really is. I mean, I've been involved with the Boy Scouts and coaching my daughter's basketball. It's such a nice place for families. I made lifelong friends with people that my kids went to school with. And, you know, my kids who are now in their 20s are still friends with the kids that they were in Boy Scouts with, Girl Scouts. And it's a great place.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Do you have any mentors or role models that have made a difference in your life?
The easy answer to that is my parents. It's, you know, both of my parents, but more specifically my father. He really showed me how to, treat women. They had a wonderful marriage. They did suffer tragedy though. When I was 19, my 17-year-old brother died in a car accident. And, it was very difficult on our family, but they relied on their Catholic faith, my parents, and it actually brought our family closer together. 8 months after my brother died, my father almost died in a fire. And
wow.
It was a close call. He was actually rescued by his fellow firefighters. It was literally a rope rescue. They had to lower him down the outside of a building because he was trapped in a room. It was all over the news. It was a big news story. But 8 months after my 17-year-old brother died, it would have been terrible. But it essentially gave us 20 more years with my father because he died in 2004. From 9/11 related illnesses.
Wow. So he was there on ground zero.
Yeah, we were both there at one point or another.
Wow. So what is your professional experience, and is there anything specifically from your profession that relates to the role of county legislator?
Well, I spent 25 years in law enforcement in New York City. Excuse me. And the first 9 years were with the transit police, New York City Transit Police. And we then merged into the NYPD in 1995. So where I spent the next 16 years. I was assigned to various units, mostly in the Bronx, school outreach, crime prevention, narcotics enforcement. I was promoted to sergeant and went out to Queens precinct. From there, I was drafted into the Internal Affairs Bureau, not the most popular assignment in the NYPD, but, it's got to be done. But on that, in that assignment, I was assigned to task forces with the FBI, ICE, DEA, a lot of federal agencies. I retired about 14 years ago now, and I took a little bit of time off because my wife was battling breast cancer successfully. She's okay now. But then I went back to work. I was doing investigations for the New York State Insurance Fund. And after that, I went to work at Lakeland High School as a security monitor. And I spent about 7 years there. I resigned, re-retired basically. So I'm like completely retired right now.
So it's safe to say that you've seen a lot in your time.
Yes.
Out on on the ground.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
One more lighthearted question. Is there anything about yourself that people might find interesting or they might not know about you?
Yeah. There's like 2 things that are kind of related. I play the bagpipes, which not a lot of people know. If they know me, they know. But my wife and I were married on top of the Empire State Building on Valentine's Day.
Oh my God!
Yeah, and how that's related is when my wife was also a police officer, and when we first started dating, we never worked together.
Okay.
She worked.
How did you guys meet?
We met at an Emerald Society meeting, and we were singing karaoke, and apparently people thought we both sounded good, so they made us sing together.
What was one of the songs that you guys sang together?
Unforgettable from Nat King Cole.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, that's like corny. But we started dating, and we worked in different boroughs. She was in Manhattan, I was in the Bronx, and our schedules were, we were working opposite shifts. So the only night that I could really see her was Friday night, and that was her bagpipe band practice night.
So you learned to play the bagpipe because of her?
Pretty much. I mean,
wow.
I always wanted to. It was always like a thought. I want to join the band, and I'd love to learn how to play the bagpipes. And this was the impetus. It just, all right, now I'm doing it. And I got into it and learned how to play the bagpipes. So
wow.
Yeah. And then she surprised me after we got engaged. She surprised me. She told me she entered us in the contest to be married on top of the Empire State Building, and they selected us. It was one of 7 couples. And apparently we were the featured couple because they found out we were both police officers, and it was all over the news. We were on, still got front page of the Post, and so
that's really amazing. That's incredible.
And then 20 years later, I surprised her. I entered into the same contest, asking if we could renew our vows, and they did select us, and we did it again. Wow,
that's amazing. I do know one thing about you though, because you are a big Met fan, correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So am I.
Okay.
So every season we get our heart broken. They do so well, and then towards the end of it, they just crash. Unfortunately,
I still have 1986 as my big memory. That was my rookie year, and Game 6 of the '86 World Series. It was a magical game, and unfortunately, I was working and I couldn't see the game. But we were all huddled around a radio in the New York Times building because that's where we took our meal. And it was just great listening to it, and
I missed it by a couple weeks. I wasn't born yet. So.
Okay.
So, all right. Let's get down to business now. What has motivated you to throw your hat in the ring to run for county legislator?
Well, for the past 15 years or so, I've been behind the scenes trying to help candidates get elected in Yorktown. I was on the Yorktown Republican Committee, and I rose to the rank of chairman of the Yorktown Republican Committee. I've had several people tell me I should run for office. One person in particular has repeatedly told me that I should run for county legislator. I didn't give it much thought, but over the last few years, they said, why don't you give it a shot? So I started thinking about it. Being that there are 17 county legislators, 15 of which are Democrats, I really thought that we should get some Republican representation into the county legislator. So that was basically the impetus for me wanting to run. Okay.
And then given your professional career in law enforcement, I know you firmly back the blue. What organizations have endorsed you?
So far, the Policemen's Benevolent Association of Westchester County has backed me, and the Westchester County Corrections Superior Officers Association have formally endorsed me. I'm waiting for a couple of other calls that are out there.
Okay. Like you mentioned, so there's 17 members that sit on the legislative board for Westchester County. Only one of them is a Republican, James Nolan, and one is a conservative. And the remainder, of course, are Democrats. I could surmise that the Democrats usually operate lockstep, and that James Nolan probably has a hard, uphill battle to have any type of compromise. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, Jimmy is a really great guy. He's been helping us. He wants to get more Republican representation on the board, if not because he likes me, but just so he could get some backup, so to speak. And I think he's a voice in the wilderness. He's come out with some great ideas, but they get shot down because he's got no one backing him up. So we need. I'd love for it to be people like me, Kevin O'Keefe in District 4, and Lori Ryan in District 9. I think if these are all Northern Westchester people,
you can collaborate.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
So the legislative board also operates under a committee system. Are there any particular committees that you'd be interested on serving on?
Sure. Given my background, I'd love to get on the Public Safety Commission. I want to ensure that our first responders have all the tools necessary to keep our residents safe. Also, I've recently earned my master's degree in Homeland Security Management. So the Information Technology and Cyber Security Committee interests me. You know, just that was part of my master's degree. It was in Homeland Security Management. Finally, I've been involved with United for the Troops, a local organization that sends care packages to our military overseas, and the Boy Scouts of America. They changed it to Scouts America, but I'm Boy Scouts. You know, I've been a Boy Scout leader since 2006. So between the two, I've been actively involved in these organizations for almost 2 decades. So I would love to work. I'd love to serve on the Veterans, Seniors, and Youth Committee as a result of that. What's funny is in the United for the Troops headquarters, there's a picture of my son Brendan on the wall from 2007 or so, 2008. He's in his Cub Scout uniform, and you know he's making cards for the troops that we send out overseas with the care packages. I've been doing this so long that Brendan is now he's gone through Cub Scouts, he's gone through Boy Scouts, and he earned his Eagle Scout award, and he's now a second lieutenant in the U.S. Army. So he could be getting packages after all these years.
Wow! So it has come full circle. For him.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
So we have a few hot topics to discuss here today. Let's start with the Immigration Protection Act, which was signed into law on March 20th, 2018 by former Westchester County Executive George Latimer. Can you simplify what the law translates to and what has been the ramifications, if you will?
Simplifying it, it basically is known as the Sanctuary County Law. It basically makes Westchester a sanctuary county. And that is not just coming from me. It was coming from them, from the Democrats, when they signed it. They were celebrating the fact that Westchester will be a sanctuary location for illegal immigrants. You know, now I mentioned earlier that I recently got my master's degree. It was literally like 3 years ago, so it's never too late to go back to school. I was 57 years old when I got my master's degree. But my thesis was on information sharing among federal, state, and local law enforcement. And one of the points of my thesis was how 9/11 could have been prevented or delayed, at least when if the CIA and FBI were communicating with each other, which they weren't doing at the time. Things have gotten a lot better. But even there was a Maryland state trooper who pulled over Ziad Jarrah, who was one of the 9/11 terrorists on the plane in Maryland. It was a routine stop for speeding. And at the time, Mr. Jarrah, I don't want to even call him Mr. Jarrah, but if he was on the CIA terrorist watch list, if the local Maryland State Police were aware of this, you know, I'm not saying that anything he did could have prevented it, but you know, you stop for a speeding violation, and at least he could get on. You know, the state trooper could get on and say, "Hey, listen, I got this guy who's on your watch list. Do you want to come and talk to him?"
Right.
It might have prevented it. It might not have, but at least it's tools you can communicate with each other. That's the exact opposite of what the sanctuary county law is. Corrections officers, they're not allowed to communicate with the ICE people, whether if they have a person in custody who is about to be released and they know is an illegal immigrant, they're not allowed to contact ICE. It just makes no sense to me.
And there's consequences if they communicate with them?
Yeah.
Really?
They get in trouble. I mean, I come from a family of immigrants. I'm a second generation American. I have no problem with immigration. It's just if they're doing it illegally, ICE should be able to do their job, and we should be able to communicate with them. I mean, it's like I said, law enforcement for 25 years. The one thing you have to do is be able to communicate with your fellow law enforcement, and that's just to make everybody safe. I know that in Somers that they had an incident where an illegal immigrant, tried to kill his girlfriend and ended up killing the girlfriend's son, and it was after the Immigrant Protection Act went into effect, and he was deported, I believe, once before.
Right,
he was arrested for even after he came back into the country. He was arrested for DWI, but was not deported again. He shouldn't have been here, and now this teenager is dead because of it.
Such a tragedy, which could have been prevented. So we've seen a recent victory with the SALT, the state and local taxes, in which the deduction cap was increased from $10,000 to $40,000. Affordability is one of your campaign initiatives. How do you plan on achieving this?
Well, on a county level, I think reining in the out of control spending by the legislature is important. I hope to get elected with people like Kevin O'Keefe, Lori Ryan, and others. A larger Republican influence can stop the rubber stamp, as you were saying, of the Democrats just approving whatever spending they want.
Right. They're pretty much bloated. You would say the government is bloated.
Yeah.
The people of New York have seen also astronomical increases in energy rates. For instance, for me, there were several months this past year, January, February, that my electric bill was approximately $1,400, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And it's my understanding that the bulk of this increase comes from the delivery fee from the supplier. And in my case, NYSEG. We have certain elected officials like Peter Harcum, Ken Jenkins, who try to advocate now all of a sudden for their constituents. But in fact, it has been their legislation that has caused this. And so them trying to now all of a sudden advocate for their constituents seems more of like a performative act to me. And essentially they're backpedaling from their legislation. So that being said, that brings me to the possibility of the recommissioning of the Indian Point nuclear power plant. The Westchester County Executive, Ken Jenkins, has requested that the county legislators adopt an act declaring the county's strong opposition to the reopening of this plant. There's been consequences because of the closure for families and businesses, and they have seen a significant increase in utility rates, which I just explained what I've been experiencing. And in my opinion, this is criminal. Can you expand on this topic, and what do you think the solution is?
I am completely in favor of recommissioning Indian Point. When they shut it down, they had no plan on how they were going to replace the energy that was provided by Indian Point, which was 25% of New York City's energy and overall 12.5% of the state. So they had no plan, and it's let's face it, now we're using more fossil fuels, which they're trying to get away from, but we had to make up the loss of energy. Yeah, and as you see, the rates have gone up crazily. And if we can get this back online, the rates will go down. The taxes that some of the schools lost out on, like in Hen Hud and those districts over there from Indian Point, maybe they'll get some of that back as well.
Right. And it's, for the most part, clean energy,
right.
My understanding.
Yeah.
So Rye Playland, the incompetence of Rye Playland. Can you speak to the mismanagement of this national historic landmark?
Having grown up in Westchester, I went to Playland a lot as a kid, and later on in my teenage years with my friends. It's a great place to go to, but it's such a shame what's happened to it. And the worst part is it didn't have to be that way. The incompetence and malfeasance have cost taxpayers $50 million between arbitration and legal costs. And this particularly galling, considering that it was not long ago that Rob Astorino had an agreement in place with a 17-0 vote on the county legislature, including Ken Jenkins, who at the time hailed the agreement as the largest investment in Playland since it was built. So it's just a shame what's happened to it, and it didn't have to be that way.
Yeah. Before we conclude this episode, are there any other talking points that you'd like to bring up?
I guess my final message would be is if I'm elected as your county legislator in District 1, this would be my one and only job. I'm retired. I have almost 40 years of work, life experience. I've got education. I won't be distracted by a different career, and I feel like I have a lot left to offer. So,
is there a website or a Facebook, Instagram account that people can find you, read more about your campaign?
The website is Byrnes for Westchester, BYRNESFOR Westchester.com. There's a donate button if you'd like to donate to our campaign. And on Facebook, it's just Byrnes for Westchester, 3 words once you're in Facebook. And that also has a link to the website as well.
And people can sign up to volunteer as well?
Yes.
The general election is November 4th. Early voting starts October 25th. There you have it, folks. Kevin Byrnes with an S, candidate for Westchester County Legislator for District 1, a voice for common sense and a proven leader with deep local roots. It's been great having you on the show, and I wish you the best of luck in November.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate this.
If anyone, a business owner or individual, would be interested in sponsoring future episodes, reach out. Also, if you live in Westchester or Putnam County and you would like to come on the show as a guest to discuss any concerns, ideas, or even to promote an upcoming event, we would love to have you. Please contact us for details. Thank you for watching the podcast Beyond the Ballot. Like and subscribe and leave us your comments. Thank you.